The first work we will examine in this video will be that of Hermes and the infant Dionysus, also known as Hermes of Praxiteles, or Hermes of Olympia, an ancient Greek sculpture. The sculpture depicts Hermes, the messenger of the gods, and the infant Dionysus, the god of wine and grape harvest. The sculpture was originally discovered in 1877 in the ruins of the Temple of Hera, Olympia, in Greece. The sculpture is a freestanding statue, which date is quite controversial, but many scholars have dated it around mid-4th century BC. The style is that of late classical and done in marble by the famous sculptor Praxiteles, according to the Museum of Art and Archaeology from the University of Missouri. In this sculpture, Hermes teases Dionysus by dangling grapes out of his reach. Hermes leans against a tree stump over which his cloak is draped, which provides support for his arm. His weight rests on his right leg, while his left foot lightly touches the ground. The off-balance stance of the god's body forms a new pose known as the Praxitelean curve, something I believe rivals the traditional contrapposto stance that many other Greek sculptures followed. His body bends sinuously, creating an empathetic S-shape pose. The musculature is defined, but softer than previous work, giving the statue a sensuous and graceful appearance. Praxiteles advocated a new canon of proportions in which humans were slender, softer, and taller than the Polycletian canon. Praxiteles breaks away in a significant manner from the abstract rigidity of Polycleton. Though ideally real remained devoid of humanity, arguably the aftermath of the Peloponnesian War left Athenians with shattered sense of self, which the ideal form was a painful reminder. Praxiteles brought greater fidelity to the human expression in his sculptures. His work reflects human emotions in softer, more affected lines. Subjects share a more dynamic relationship to one another, yet closer as well. This exemplified in Hermes carrying the infant Dionysus, carved in such a way, suggesting the preference of nature as a model over adherence to rigid, predefined canon. The sculpture is delicate and sensual, yet playful as the young Dionysus' delicate form contrasts the rough musculature framing of Hermes. The emotional connection between child and man is not contrived, but natural, appealing to the known experience of the viewer.
While the buildings erected with the Gothic style are all unique, one in particular stands out from the rest, thanks to its style, grandeur, and overall impressiveness. This is the Milan Cathedral, also known as the Duomo de Milano, found in Milan, Italy. At a staggering height of 108 meters and a length of 157 meters, the Milan Cathedral is the world's largest Gothic cathedral and second largest cathedral behind St. Peter's Basilica. Dedicated to the Saint Maria Nascente, construction began under the order of Bishop Antonio de Saluzzo in 1386 and extended up through the 20th century. During its history, more than 78 architects had an impact, and thus a variety of features demonstrating many styles can be observed, with the Gothic being the most present. If asked about its location, Northern Europe may be a common response, for good reason, due to the tendency for local masons to not work in the Gothic style. Architects and designers from France and Germany in particular were called in, as such style bears resemblance. Originally, the cathedral was going to be built out of terracotta stone, but this was changed to Candoglia marble, giving a pinkish gray color. One of the characteristic Gothic elements that can be seen here is the scheme of ad triangulum, which, as the name implies, uses equilateral triangles to form the basics. Another typical characteristic of the Gothic style is the use of pinnacles and spires, which are tapering conical or pyramidal structures used for ornamentation. The Milan Cathedral also includes flying buttresses, which are arch structures that go from a wall to a spire, providing force against the structure across intervals. One of the most distinguishing features of this Duomo is the estimated 135 spires and pinnacles, a number that is still disputed. Each of these are capped with a figure, either a saint or other important individual. Included is the gold-colored Madonna statue of the Virgin Mary, which sits on the highest spire. This is actually so important, no other building should pass its height by decree of law. In addition to these points of interest, exists a total of 3,400 statues, more than 90 of which are gargoyles, another common Gothic element. This is thought to be the highest number of statues of any building in the world. The basic plan layout of the church is that of a cruciform, meaning a cross-like shape. This layout includes the addition of an altar and large ornate windows above and around the east end. It is near this altar that relatively short transects occur, forming the shape of a cross. The inside of the church, similar to the exterior, is constructed of the Condoglia marble, but has black and red marble laced throughout, giving a true Gothic feel. What is not so Gothic, however, is the presence of 2 side aisles along each side that is made possible by the 5 wide naves divided by 40 pillars. In many typical Gothic buildings, there is only a single aisle. There is also an additional clerestory layer. Above the altarpiece arch lies one of the believed crucifixion nails, which is now indicated by a red light bulb. This nail goes on display for a few days every year. While this may be only a brief summary of the Milan Cathedral and its long history, its existence as a Gothic legend becomes apparent, and hopefully it will prevail for many more centuries to come.